Okay, it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened as I said it would. People will be. Oh, when have we got Leeds? Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Your Football Show. I hope you are all doing well. Welcome back to the final word. We have all-star cast with us this evening. We've also got JT joining us as well. He's just at a prior engagement, but will be joining us a little bit shortly. I was hoping we'd come on here having watched Man United get battered 6 or 7. As it turns out, they've got a point, and it was a terrible game of football, which is a little bit disappointing. But we are here to talk about Leeds United, of course. But before we do, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, hit the notification bell. Make sure you check out all of these fantastic content creators as well. You've got Max at Leeds Lately, which I believe is Dream Team 11's going down a storm at the minute. So make sure you do go and check that out. It's a really good series. So check that out. You've got Kate, lovely Leeds Birds rants being the main thing, which I'm sure we'll see on here tonight. And you've got these two likely lads at the bottom from the Ought to Know Better podcast. And as I say, JT from JT Live. So, yes, I've just noticed your T-shirt as well, Jay, which, by the way, like, she is absolutely phenomenal, that woman.
Representing.
Rhea Ripley. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Rhea Ripley. I would let her take a dump on my chest.
What is it?
You're not the only man, mate. It's wrestling.
Wrestling man, Rhea Ripley, Mammy. I will call her Mammy all day every week.
It's not how I expected this stream to start, to be honest.
No. And to be fair, Max, she would actually like bench press me, like she's that big, but yeah, she's just hot.
Enjoy
You're only
that
4
too,
foot,
won't
though,
you?
aren't you?
Yeah, hey.
You're only 4 foot, though, aren't you?
This is true, mate. I thought you were saying you'd be. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I am only 4 foot.
4 foot 6.
It's nice. It's nice to hear somebody else getting ripped for being short.
Yeah, well, it happens a lot, mate, on here. It's all right because I've got inches where it counts. That's all I'll say. Anyway.
Good job.
Got a big TV, haven't you, Joe?
Yeah, exactly. I actually have mate. I've had to borrow it though. It's one of them buy now, pay later. So I don't know if it's mine. It might maybe 25% of it's mine at the minute. I don't know.
Klarna.
Yeah, I love a Klarna, especially at Christmas. Right, okay. Let's get into it then. I don't want to delve on the game too much, right? Because it's been done to death. You've all post-match and all that sort of stuff. I think the hot topic at the moment, of course, is Leeds United and where we're at in the league, and if there's too much of an overreaction, should he be doing better? Everyone has a difference of opinion, right? You've heard my side of it, so I want to open it up and then we can just open an open forum and discussion. But first, I'm going to come to someone who I believe will be pretty level-headed during this debate, and that's the man in the middle there. It is, of course, Max from Leeds Lately. So let's hear from Max first and foremost. You can touch on the game if you like, mate, but how do you think Leeds United are getting on, and are we, resigned to the playoffs, and is it all over? And are we going to throw the bath out of the water? Oh, I've done it wrong again. Baby out with the bath water. That's the one. People keep commenting. I still get it wrong. But
Rubber
over to you, Max.
out with the tap.
Over to you, Max.
I'll offer 2 sides to this, right? The first side is that if you look at any other championship season, the run that we've had, we'd pretty much be there or thereabouts at top of the table. But it's only because this season you've had these 2 teams who've had this unprecedented, ridiculous run of form. This is what Farke does. The points total that we're on after this amount of games, this is what he did with Norwich. But the difference is it was enough because the other teams weren't so ridiculously good that they weren't up there. So Norwich were able to win the league playing like this and get into this point. So that's the first thing, really, is that in any other season we do so much better. It's just the most Leedsy thing ever that it's the season where 2 teams, not only 1 team is running away with it, because you could live with that, couldn't you, and say, right, we'll get second then. But because it's 2 teams doing it, it's mental, right? But Farke, for me, just has to be more flexible. I'm not saying that he he's a bad manager or that he needs to go or anything. But for me, this is the time where I think he needs to start thinking about how he's going to change things up and how he's going to do things differently. Because yes, he can play within the style that he wants to play, but I think he has to try some different things. And that means for me, resting players like Jorginho maybe for a game and trying Nonto in the 10. Pushing Piroe up front. Just to slightly touch on the match, there was the one where Dan James put the ball straight across the face of goal and Jorginho just missed the entire ball. Piroe scores that 10 times out of 10 because he's a striker, because he's a centre forward. He scores that goal. So if he's in that position, playing as the striker, that's 1-0 and that game goes completely differently. So for me, it's just about being a bit more flexible, giving Archie a rest, putting Spence at right back, trying something, just doing something a bit different rather than just playing the same 11 every week. And then when the subs come on, it's too late. It's the same thing every time. It's throw 10 strikers on at once and hope for the best. He just needs to be a bit more flexible. So I'm frustrated, but I'm not Farke out or anything like that. I'm just frustrated with the fact that he is being as stubborn as he is. But like I said, it has to be leveled with the fact that we are actually on title winning form in any other season. It's just so
no, I think that's fair, and context does need to be applied in that respect. You know, I had a look. Obviously, we've got 42 points. Someone made a case to me earlier on saying, but you know, under Bielsa, when we won that league, well, guess what, folks? That Bielsa season we won the league, we had 44 points at this stage, so just 2 points more. So I think the reason it looks as bad as it does is because of how good the top two are. But it doesn't mean he's exempt from criticism. I think there has been maybe a disconnect with people saying, oh, we're not allowed to criticize. I don't know if that's been the case. I think it's fair to have an open forum and to have a chat about it. You don't have to agree with what that person's saying, but it's important to have that conversation. Kate, Leeds Birds rant. Someone said in the comments, I loved your 5 minutes rant, Kate. What do you have to say on the whole situation? I know, because I think our opinions differ, so I want to hear your side for sure.
I don't know whether they do, because actually I agree completely exactly with what Max has said. My main issue yesterday was the fact that certain people in this social media sphere seem to think that their opinions are more worthy than anybody else's. Every single person on my stream yesterday has a right to have their opinion. No opinion is more valid than the next. And this is what I was getting at. We are allowed to question Daniel Farke. We are allowed to question him without wanting him sacked, without being like down on the season, without being negative, without being like, do you know what I mean? We are allowed to question him. And yesterday, in my opinion, his tactics, considering what happened at Sunderland as well, his tactics were out. He should be, like Max says, more flexible, and he should be prepared to change things up a little bit. The guys on the pitch were tired yesterday. You could see that. They ran out of ideas. Or whatever they were being asked to do, they're running out of ideas. So that is what I think. And it annoys me when everyone's like, you know, it's not like overreacting. We have a right to overreact. We're paying money to see the goddamn club. We're paying money to see what's going on. And we have a right to overreact. And, you know, like I said, every opinion is as valid as the next. He needs to change things up. He needs to be more flexible. We need even to think about maybe changing the formation. You know, so he needs to do that. But my main point yesterday, Joe, and the reason that I had a big cover last night is because I'm sick of these people telling everybody else to shut the fuck up. Sorry, shut up. Because their opinions don't matter, and that is the thing that really bugged me last night. So yeah,
and that's fair enough. And I think, you know, we as content creators as well, like everyone has a widget, just like everyone else in the pub, right? Everyone has an opinion and really, you know, stand by that opinion. You know what I mean? So because we have a forum to be able to project that, I try as hard as I can, and sometimes it is difficult to do, to see the other side of it. It is difficult to do because I just want to go, you know, oh, feck off kind of thing. You're wrong. Do you know what I mean? But it is.
I know it is difficult. But it's like I said like last week that Archie Gray had done something that made an error, and it was like, oh, geez, you can't say that. It's Archie Gray. Well, yeah, I can say that because he made an error. Do you know what I mean? So it's this like shutting down of people's opinions, and I don't like it because that really it spreads wider into society. You know what I'm saying?
You're going down a societal.
Take all the
world.
She's come to fix a lot more than just football, aren't you, Kate?
Yeah,
absolutely, mate. Of course.
I love that. I do love that. Jay, where do you lie on it, mate? Because obviously you weren't up for Berardi and Coke. Some of us were there in our jammers and that.
Oh,
and you
yeah.
Show up. But,
to be honest, mate, I were ready, but I didn't get the call in time. I missed what was going on. I got up just before you started. No, I mean,
You started at 11:15, by the way, people.
I know.
Yeah, that's true.
He's a 40-odd-year-old man.
41, mate. 40-odd makes me sound like I'm 48, 49.
You look good for 41, by the way.
I think so, mate. I think so.
Yeah,
cheers.
definitely.
You don't get these compliments on our podcast. I did stay up to watch some of the UFC. That's why I slept in so late, to be fair. But yeah, the Farke thing, I agree with a lot of what Kate just said, actually. Like, we have a right to question. If you see us against a side which is a lesser side, no disrespect to them, but they're not as good as us on paper or whatever, then you've got a right to question why we're not beating that side, for me. You don't have to agree with everything to still support the manager, and you're not supporting the manager by questioning things.
Exactly.
We have that right. That's, where this club's in our hearts, man. It's not just a job to us. It's something that we love, and we have every right when we're spending money to ask what's going on at times. I think Farke's really unlucky in the fact that the top two are so good, and it's clouding people's judgment, because if they weren't having an exceptional, unprecedented season, we'd be right up there. This would just be a bumping road. We'd all be like, we should have beat them. Never mind, on to the next one. But because we've had a couple of dodgy results and they're so far ahead, everyone's losing their shit and like, what are we doing? Maybe Farke should be out. He doesn't make subs early enough, blah, blah, blah. There's stuff you can question. There's stuff we could do better. I don't think that anyone else would be doing a better job than him overall.
I don't either.
And it's hard to know what people want who are sort of arguing with folk and making out they know better because they don't agree with his tactics or whatever. What do they want? Who do they want?
Yeah. No, I think I genuinely think that's a great point. I think considering the hand he was dealt, I think he's doing great. And I know
exactly.
Yeah, I know people on the stream last night when I was mentioning how poor August had been. We didn't have with the benefit of hindsight, you look back on whoscored.com, you can actually put in the dates with which you want to look at the table. So if you look at the table from the 1st of September up to present day, we'd be 6 points off top, 3 points off Leicester. So that month did really buckle us, because I think my good man who's just told me to stop picking my nose, Emmett Oliver, said that's why I went like that, just to get it of him. But he said Cine on strike, Nonto on strike, Max Aarons, whatever that was. Farke's done well. Yeah, and I think if we were to replay that month again, because we did beat Ipswich in that month, but if we were to replay that month again, I think we beat Birmingham. I think we don't draw at home for West Brom. I don't, as good as West Brom are, I don't think they were great at Ellen Road, and we should have won that game.
Cardiff as well.
Cardiff as well on the opening day, and that really does close the gap. So they sort of did have a head start on us, and I just hope that month doesn't end up being the reason why we don't go up. Of course, we've had time to close the gap and all that sort of stuff. I get it, but. Luke, I feel like I've spoken to you loads on this matter, but for those that haven't seen, what's been your thoughts on the last 24 hours?
Yeah, I mean, I speak to you more than do my own kids, mate, to be fair. I mean, you've got part of the furniture now, but no, yeah, look, I very much agree that nobody's beyond criticism. Look, we're all adults, majority of people online are adults, and I think it's just the way people go about.
Sorry, that was a Monty Python joke.
I think it's just. I think you're probably right, Kate, in what you say around like some people go about but from both sides, people go around about things potentially the wrong way, and a lot of that's to do with passion, and a lot of it's immediately after a result like that when we've absolutely let's make no odds about it, we've controlled that game from start to finish, apart from a couple of little errors. So yeah, we should be beating teams like that. But for me, I suppose the real question for me is, what do you change tactically against these sides? Because we've every team we've played, it's been similar. It's not new, it's nothing new, but it's not nothing new just with Daniel Farke either. It's something that Bielsa struggled to do. Was breaking down teams who play a lot, 5-4 and however many people behind the ball. It's not something that is easy just to break down. And I actually think it's not tactically. I think it's personnel wise. I don't actually necessarily think it's the tactics that need changing, but actually the personnel that actually need changing. We need to play a 10 in there, and that's not a support striker, or a second striker. Somebody who can thread the eye of a needle. Somebody who can actually make things happen and not have to look. We mentioned it this morning on Pablo, or even a Click, probably somebody of that ilk in there, or even better than them. Well, would make this team twice as good.
It's kind of, if you wanted this lull and this drop to happen, it's probably the right time for it to happen, because it's January so soon, and we can actually go out and if we get it right, if we get recruitment right in January and we get a 10, somebody who can be the one to pick the lock and to unlock defenses, that could be the catalyst to set us off for the rest of the season. So I think, you're right, Luke. There's personnel which would be a massive factor in helping us out there, because a lot of the time, especially late in games when we're looking to go and get a winner, we are basically putting all our strikers on and we're sitting them all on the edge of the box, like all backing into the defenders. And if you're going to do that, you have to put the ball in the box, and we don't actually cross the ball into the box and play percentage balls, because if that's how you have to play, if you're going to put that many strikers on. Or the other thing is, if you're going to put that many strikers on, there has to be so much movement of them all swapping around to make defenders think twice about who they're going with. But there just isn't that. They all kind of sit on the edge of the box waiting for something to happen. So there's that. And then the other thing I think we struggle with is in midfield, a lot of the time we get overrun, because Ampadu ends up on his own and Kamara is a little bit further forward. And we kind of end up, if we had all our fullbacks fit, there's an opportunity, I think, to play Ampadu and Gray with Kamara just in front of them. So Kamara's got that license to go forward and go into the number 10 role. But then when he needs to, we've seen that he can tackle. We've seen that he's got long, gangly legs, hasn't he? That he wraps around players and just takes the ball off them. There's opportunities to do things like that in certain games. But I think Farke is so wedded to his formation. But that's almost a little bit old-fashioned in today's football. And old-fashioned, I mean, only of like a couple of years ago. But most managers now, they change formations so many times during a game that, like, you watch Arteta, or I know he made that ridiculous claim that he played 96 formations or something ridiculous in one game. But the idea is there, isn't it, that in certain situations, it's like, okay, when they have the ball in this area, or when we can see we're getting overrun in midfield, even Jorginho or Piroe could drop into midfield to just try and bolster that a little bit, but it just seems to be that we are.
I think that's part of the problem, though, Max. Piroe dropping into midfield. I think that is actually one of the main parts of our problems. When we play teams that sit back, Piroe does drop too deep sometimes, and it just leaves.
It's like he gets ball hungry.
Yeah.
It's like he gets ball hungry and he wants to come and get a touch of the ball.
He's not that type of player.
No,
he's not that type of player to come and pick the ball up and find the pass and squirt it left and right. And that's not his game.
No.
Can I just ask? So I mentioned it this morning on your show, Luke, but I just want to qualify my thing on the August thing as well. Let me just say that just saying August, we're not saying, or I'm not saying August is the reason we've played poor in games now. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the gap would be a lot shorter, and therefore the outcry after a poor performance wouldn't be as big. That's the point I'm making there.
But just before you go on, Joe, I'm just going to say Leicester and Ipswich have both had similar drops in form. It's just that they were already ahead of us. So Ipswich have drawn a couple, lost a couple. Leicester lost to Middlesbrough and us, and so it's just because they're ahead, it looks better for them. But they're probably saying the same thing. Oh, we've dropped off, but it doesn't matter because we're ahead.
But I think the frustration's coming from the fact that It's like Groundhog Day every single match. Like we had a conversation midweek, didn't we, about the fact that, like Joe said, who thinks that he's going to change anything up at the weekend, and he didn't. True to form. And at some point, you have to start changing things up because other people. And the whole sub thing is.
Can I ask you a question on that, Kate? I was going to ask. Do you not think the subs? I know you don't. Bamford aside, because I agree. I don't think he did.
No, I actually praised him on Saturday.
For the subs with the non-tour, or do you mean Bamford, or do you? Because I thought
Bamford.
Right. My point is, Kate, I thought we, and I say this, I thought we played well yesterday, and I thought Farke couldn't have done much more than he did.
So, my sort of response to that would be: you thought we played well enough for 78 minutes, as was, without changing things up and bringing anybody else on. So you wouldn't have made any changes before that.
No, I don't. No, I'm not saying that. I just think we played well because I think everyone seems to think that we played poorly yesterday and we're terrible and there were this and that. When I actually look at, I think we played well against.
I think the gap between the bridge between you two is here that Joe is saying that by 78 minutes we already had done enough to win the game.
Yeah.
But because we hadn't taken our chances, we then needed subs to try and freshen it up.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you have made that decision earlier though? Given the fact that these are the sort of bread and butter games we need to be winning. We can't be like that. That's my argument. These are the sort of games we need to be winning. And I know there's 72 points to play for or whatever it is. I know that. But going into, and somebody gave me a scenario today, like if we beat Leicester and who else have we got after them? Preston, and then Ipswich beat Leicester beat Ipswich, or whatever it was, this scenario that we could actually go second. And it's a big if. And my thing is, Joe, I think they're tired. I don't think they're as fresh as when you look at a team like Ipswich on Saturday, they just seem fresher.
Mm.
And it worries me when I listen to the fact that Daniel Farke only thinks we might need a left back in January. And he's not like looking beyond that.
No, he will be. Kate.
Just
think
quickly,
we get a lot
Kate,
more. In my
just
opinion.
on that, when you say they look, we didn't look very fresh. Was there any point in that game where you felt that we didn't look like the best side? I thought all the players that I thought were lagging looked really fresh. I thought Ampadu ran his socks off. I thought Kamara did the same. I thought Somerville, I thought, could have done with the rest. Granted, Rutter and Piroe probably are the only two.
I don't think Ampadu looked particularly fresh, Luke. No, actually.
No, I
don't.
I thought he was really good yesterday.
I think
there was a moment in the game when he trekked probably three-quarters of the pitch back to win the ball as the last man.
I think he's looked tired last two games, Ampadu. He's still doing good things, but he's not as good as he was.
He's not as good as he was at the beginning of the season. And the reason is, at the end of the day, he's played every single game, week in, week out, and he's played for his country. You cannot physically be in the same condition as you were in August to now. He's been run
It's their job. It's their job.
See, I disagree. I think I agree with you against Blackburn and Sunderland. He looked jaded. I thought Rodon looked poor as well. However, for me, yesterday, Rodon and Ampadu were arguably the two best players on the pitch for Leeds.
Mm.
I don't think they look tired. But I don't know. I agree he's playing too much. I think
Jed Spence did a really good job on the left, to be honest, yesterday.
See,
I going to be like when he's on the right hand side.
I didn't think Spence was great on the left. Actually, I thought he didn't overlap enough for me. He looked like he wasn't sure where to go at times, and he comes back onto his right too often because he clearly doesn't like using his left foot. That's not his fault. I would swap him with Gray straight away, but that's the job he's been asked to do, and I don't think it was as good as we needed him to be.
But I think he's making the best of it, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he is.
Two matches.
Would you? Smarty made this point earlier on this morning, and I want to ask you folks: Is it better now to rather than have two players out of position, because we are seeing Spence. I think Spence, when he gets on the ball, shows flashes, but would arguably be better on the right, so he can overlap and can whip balls in the box. Is there a case of saying, Daniel, just switch them round for the next game?
For me, yeah.
Gray on the left and Ampadu, not Ampadu.
I think it depends on. I think it depends on who is the stronger winger in the game, and I think that's what it should depend on, because I think we've seen Archie Gray. Obviously, he's done his best at right back, but he has been skinned quite a few times, and it's usually early on in games, and he usually gets better once he learns how this winger's going to play against him.
Yeah,
but I do think that on Saturday against Coventry, their better winger was on Jed Spence's side. And it was better for him to be there to deal with it than to be on Archie's side, if you get what I mean. So I think it depends on who we play, because I think against Sunderland, we probably should have put Jed Spence on the right to deal with Jack Clark, because he's pacier, he's a bit more physical than Archie, and maybe that's how we should do it. But I don't think Farke will do that.
That makes sense.
I wish he
I felt he should have swapped Archie and Spence as soon as Archie got booked against Jack Clark. I felt he should have swapped them, because they were hamstrung by that booking.
I've got to give Archie credit, though, because once he got that yellow card, he was really good at not diving in and being. He's mature beyond his years, isn't he? To not go and get a second yellow card. A load of young players would have done that.
It's unbelievable for a kid, like physically and mentally. He's just spot on.
People were calling him a hard time in the Sunderland game, though, weren't they? And
they were. Yeah. I just want to, just while we've got real Norfolk boy, big up to you, mate. Thanks for being here. I want to ask you a quick question, mate, if you can. Was this the same under Farke at Norwich? Did he have a reluctance to change shape, to change personnel, to make substitutions late in the game? I'd love to know that, mate. So if you could maybe drop us a comment just to see that, just to see if this is something that he regularly does. Kate, we spoke about changes before. None of us predicted that he would change it, and he didn't. Now, his whole thing in the press conference seemed to be, no one's really shown me when they've come onto the pitch. Now, I think yesterday, Nonto showed him. I thought when Nonto came on, Nonto performed really well, and he's been building up to this. He's been showing little flashes, and I thought yesterday really performed. Do you think he gets in against Ipswich? I mean, I don't want to drop Dan James, by the way, because I thought defensively he was great. But is there a case of bringing Piroe? Like, for me, this is how I see it. We move Piroe out, put Nonto there, and then maybe move Somerville second. Because I just thought the link up between Somerville and Nonto really worked in the second half.
It did. Do you think, are you saying Nonto at number 10 then?
Or Somerville. Just a three behind Ruther of James, Nonto, and Somerville.
Well, do you know what? I'd actually like to see Piroe playing in the position he's there to play, personally. I would also, I think the last few times that Nonto has been brought on, I thought he's different. He's more positive. He's more clinical, and I really like what he's doing. I would like to see Piroe at number 9, Nonto on the pitch, but then who do you drop? I don't know. Because Dan James, give Dan James a rest, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? Just change something. I think so. But it would be nice to see the players playing in positions that they should be playing in. Spence at right back, Archie in the middle, Piroe at number 9.
I think it needs to be based on. It needs to be based on who we're playing against as well, because Ipswich are a side who are really going to go for it and are really going to try to win the game. So in that situation, you play Dan James because there might be a bit of space in behind and he's rapid. Jorginho, maybe he just needs a bit of a rest and you bring him on at 70 minutes or something for the last 20, and you have Nonto as the number 10 for the rest of the game. I don't know, just something different to try, because we got the better of them at Portman Road, but we do need to think about how we're gonna beat them at home, because it's going to be a different. It's a different sort of situation, isn't it? Because at their place, they're going for it because they're at home. But will they do the same at Elland Road? We don't know. So, but for me, there just has to be some sort of rotation, because as well, it freshens things up. If you're sat there and everything's feeling stale, you go, oh, we've just drawn and we've just lost with this exact team, this exact 11. Then maybe if we switch things up a bit, Nonto's in the starting lineup now, it's something a bit different. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it freshens up attitudes as well as anything else.
Yeah. No, I agree. You made some, because ultimately Kieran McKenna has already shown this season he's a fantastic coach and has great ideas. So if we do go with the same lineup, it might be a little bit easy for him to know what he needs to do in order to win the game. So it would be nice if we did freshen it up to give
because
Kieran
the
McKenna
predictability
something.
factor, Joe, as
Yeah,
well.
no, I agree. I agree with
You know
you.
what I mean? Teams are working out how to beat us.
Yeah.
I think just to go
JT,
against
you've
that,
just. Oh, go on,
sorry.
Luke.
Go on, JT.
No,
No,
go on.
just really quickly,
No, no.
JT. Sorry, I won't take
Go
2
ahead.
seconds.
No worries.
I think whilst I think I would like to see the experiment of maybe moving either Piroe forward or dropping him for Nonto, I just worry about that in a game that's going to be so open, because this will be the type of game that Piroe will get a bit of space in as a second striker on the edge of the box, and where he will play closer to Rutter or whoever's playing at 9. And they're the games where we've seen where the games are slightly more open. They're not sitting with 2 banks of 4 or a low block or whatever you want to call them. And he does get that space in and around the box. And we've seen how clinical he can be when he only has to have a touch with inside the box. And he often scores, doesn't he, when he's got an opportunity, does Piroe. And these are the types of games I think that will actually work, ironically. Maybe Preston away, they're on a bit of a slump. Maybe we could try something a little bit more different then. They've also had a week's rest from Saturday until Ipswich as well. So the things that they're working on in training with that starting 11, that has been that starting 11, whilst I still agree the predictability and, the same 11 and everything like that, I just think that would be the game I wouldn't make many changes, if any changes in.
No, I think that's fair. And do you know what I am really excited about, though, as well, just to look into the future? I can't wait till we've got a proper left back, because I think it will improve Daniel Farke's style immeasurably. We all remember Max Aarons and Jamal Lewis at Norwich, how good they were. It gives us more balance. We are lacking that at the moment. So I do think, as simple as having
Byron does that?
I don't think he's. No, you're right. Byram does. But what I would say in response to that, JT, we haven't won a game without Byram in the side. That's the key point, isn't it? So we need, and that's the start, and that shows us.
And he's like the most injury-prone player ever.
That's the point. Yeah. So we need a left back.
To be fair, we do have a certain left back who is rather injury-prone. I think if he wasn't, it would be a different tale this season.
Back off. Yeah, I'm not letting you do that now.
I'm on your side here, JT. I'm on your side.
Talk to me about that, man. But he needs putting down, mate. If he was a racehorse, he'd be shot. Anyway,
it'd be glue by now.
Yeah. JT, you've just joined us. I hope you've had a great day, mate. Happy birthday to your uncle, was it?
No, my dad's cousin, second cousin, whatever it is. But yeah, it's his 40th, so that's why I was running late. Sorry.
Happy 40th, mate. I know you're not watching this, but yeah. JT, what were your thoughts yesterday, mate, and overall on the Daniel Farke situation, my man?
I mean, I think I've spoken to death. First of all, I want to say thanks for having me on again. A great panel as always. But it was a good and a bad. We had our Christmas dinner yesterday. I'm just going to tell a little story. So it was the first game in ages, but I wasn't streaming, so I got to watch it with my dad and my uncle. That was about the only highlight of the game, if I'm being honest. It was flat. It was like a Coke you'd left out for like 2 weeks on the windowsill. There was no real life to us. There was like it from the off. Like, yeah, we had a bit of joy with possession for the first half, but we didn't really create too much, if I'm being honest with you. Again, we have the ball in and around their area, but there's no one that's actually willing to pick a pass, no one that's actually willing to move. And it's just one of those games that we really failed to get going in, to be honest. And I don't know who said it. Was it you, Kate, who suggested dropping Rutter? For me, that would be, I'd have to say, whether people think he needs a rest or they think he's tired.
That.
Oh, was it someone else? Someone else? It was Max. Sorry, Max said that. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think that would be a big mistake, because all I saw was 2 players, one and a half, because I think Rutter was probably that half. But Somerville was the only guy I actually really saw throughout the game that was actually trying something. He was trying to take a man on. He was trying to use a bit of energy. He was showing a bit of spark. Everyone else just looked pretty flat. And as for Daniel Farke, I mean, come on, again, 75th minute. We're all sat there screaming, 45th minute. Dan James is tired. I know he's had a streak of scoring it down, every home game, but he's shattered. And you leave him on the pitch. And what does he go and do? He goes and misses a sitter in the 90th minute as a result of that. You know what I mean? But, put Nonto on for him. For me, if we're talking Nonto, there's only one way you can get Nonto on the pitch, and that's taking Dan James and Piroe off, in my opinion, because Dan James can't play number 9, in my opinion. We saw it under Bielsa. I don't think Nonto also can play number 9, in my opinion. I don't think he got good enough hold-up play. I don't think the way we like to play, I think he can press decently. He can do that side of the game. But in terms of his hold-up play and the way he likes to play, I think he's better at bringing the ball in from deep. And we've seen he's looked a lot better on the left-hand side. So for me, you either put him on the right wing or the left wing. If you want to put him on the left, I think you then put Somerville in cam. You put Jorginho Rutter at right wing, because I think earlier on in the
this
season,
is where you're going to disagree, Kate. Are you ready for it?
He's had a
And who's
couple of
starting up
cameos.
top?
He's had a couple of appearances on the right-hand side. And when he's been pulled off Rutter, and I think he's actually worked very well from the wing. You actually don't. You actually don't. Usually, the time I would say, this is talking about getting Nonto into the side. The time I would say putting Bamford up top is when Rutter's in the middle, because I think he works better in front of him. I did see a couple of suspect things from him, but you know who I would actually give a go up there? Yeah, from what I saw yesterday, I'll give it to Joe Gelhardt, because when he came on, I know he was playing very deep. He wasn't playing up front, but there was a couple of moments, especially near the end of the game, 88th minute or so, he showed some bottle. Like, he picked the ball up at the halfway line. He takes on a couple of men. He draws a foul. He shows actually like some guts and determination to actually win it. And I know when he played preseason, he never really lit the house on fire. But I think I'd give him a crack up there. Like, it's going to work better than Piroe. You can't play Piroe up front because he can't press. Those are not my words. Those are the words of the manager. So that's not me just throwing it out there. You can't play Piroe up front. He doesn't work as a 10, in my opinion. Rutter doesn't really work as well as a 9.
Where does he work? If he doesn't work as a 9, he doesn't work as a 10. Where does he work?
He doesn't work in this system. He's a great number 9 in many systems. I'm not saying he's not a good player. He's a good goal scorer. And as you said earlier, when he's in the box, when he gets half a chance, he probably will finish it. However, he doesn't fit Daniel Farke's system. You know, you see it with a lot of great managers. There are great players that play very well for one club. They go on to play under Pep Guardiola or something. He's like, sorry, it's just not going to work. And this is one of those cases.
I think Farke pulled that out the hat to just justify why he's, and try to shut everyone up of why he's playing him in the number 10 role, because we don't press that much. We're not like aggressive, like full on flight. You know how Bielsa and Marsh, that's the only similarity, is that we would fly at teams and we would really press them high up. A lot of the time we kind of let their centre backs have the ball, and then every now and again, if they go into a certain area, we might shift across a little bit and just force them a certain way. But we're not like flying around trying to, you know, like when Dan James used to like take goalkeepers' kneecaps every week. We don't do that anymore. It's sort of like a very controlled press, trying to push them into certain areas. So I think Piroe can do that. I just think Farke has a big old reluctance just not to do that, and a chip on his shoulder with it, that the fans want it. So, oh no, we can't do that because the fans want it and it's the obvious thing to do. I don't know. There's something there but
yeah, I hear you.
I would agree with you, JT, if we had some evidence of it, but Farke hasn't tried
some evidence that Piroe can't press.
Yeah, we need to see him in the number 9 role for 2 or 3 games.
But he kind of does, but like, he's slow. He's very, very slow. And we've seen there's a reason why when Rutter's up front, they interchange, because every time we have the ball, they try to usually push Piroe a bit further forward and get him involved. It's when we hit them on the counter attack, and it's when we're trying to actually win the ball from them with good pressing that Piroe sits deeper. He can't play up front in the system that we like to play, because Leeds, where do most of our great goals or most of our chances come from? They come from counter-attacks. We are a glorified counter-attacking side, and it comes from 2 players. And again, whatever you want to say about me just banging on about Rutter and Somerville, where did our goal come from yesterday as well? It came from Rutter, great bit of skill, great run, beautiful ball to Somerville, he scores. Like, it's rinse and repeat.
I take your
no
point.
one else is doing anything.
I agree with that, JT, but what I would say is every team relies on 1 or 2 players, regardless of how you look at it. Look at every team that's been promoted recently in the last forever, probably. You can probably pick a handful of players. Look at us with Pablo, and when Norwich last got promoted, Buendia and Pukki. And
Man City and Haaland, bro.
When
Liverpool and Salah.
When we got promoted under Bielsa, we had goals all over the pitch. Alioski was pitching in with goals. Stuart Dallas was pitching in with goals. Luke Ayling was getting
The front
himself
four
involved. He was
have all
creating
got loads of
chances.
goal involvements this season. The
Yeah,
front,
the
if you
front-
look
we've
at
got
them.
we've
the
got
front
goals from
four-
Ruta, Piroe, James, Somerville, Anthony.
Yeah.
Anthony scored as well.
Even
The
Luke
front four,
Ayling's
yeah,
got a
but-
brace.
Yeah,
I mean, Piroe.
we are scoring from everywhere.
Piroe's
No,
not
listen,
doing.
Piroe's got a lot of goals.
Byram's
He does,
got a
but
few.
I think it costs us. Like I'm saying, with the players
no,
we
I
have,
agree.
those guys should be scoring goals. The
But
only
in
one that
different
shocked
games,
me
though,
is DJ.
JT, in different types of games, I think the games like Ipswich, where games are more open, Piroe does work as a second striker because that's how we work, and it works really well with him and Rutter interchanging. They play much closer together, they play off each other, and it works. Games where players sit back, we need a 10 who can sit in there and unlock a defence. And it's
Because Piroe's the one who comes back into his own half to come and get the ball.
Yeah.
And that just leaves Jorginho up front on his own. And he's not a striker. So when a chance comes to him, a lot of the times he fluffs his lines. So if Piroe's playing on the last man and Jorginho's the one to come into the midfield, it makes us a little bit more solid in midfield if we do lose the ball because he's there to help out, whereas Piroe's not really got any sort of defensive capability. And I think Jorginho, if he gets the ball and looks up, yes, you talk about our counter-attacking ability, but if Jorginho picks the ball up in midfield and looks forward, he's so much more capable of making that pass out wide to Dan James or to Somerville. And he doesn't have to go to Piroe. Piroe can focus on being the one to make that late run into the box once the winger gets the ball in. But
if I'm not mistaken, Max, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Ipswich away Piroe's debut?
And it's the first time he scored, wasn't it?
Sorry, it was his first goal, wasn't it? But Rutter had a really good game at their place.
He scored a worldie that game, Rutter.
Yes, he did. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that's the thing, isn't it? I think different games require different plans, and that's kind of come full circle.
We don't have one, do we, Matt?
That's right. It goes full circle back to
for everyone.
So do we? Can I ask a quick question, just on that? Do we think Daniel Farke trusts the squad enough?
No, he doesn't trust the people. He doesn't trust the players on his bench enough, does he?
He certainly doesn't trust Ilya Gruev. He certainly does not trust him, and you've signed him to be that holding midfielder. And when you're on a championship budget, when you're on a championship budget, that £5 million, £5 million on that budget is massive because you can't spend that much. So when you sat on the bench and Farke is the one who wanted him, and then you can't trust him, it's like, well, hold on a sec, shouldn't he at least be given a little bit more time?
Has there been a need for Gruev?
Well, when people have said Ampadu's not tired,
should we not see more of him at this point, Luke? I know, I get it.
We're reaching a point
every single
Luke
minute.
just wants every player to play week in, week out until week 46.
Look, if they can't play 180 minutes in a week, or 270 minutes, say Saturday, Tuesday, Sunday, if they can't play 270 minutes of football in a week and they're getting paid whatever money, it's their job. Like, I'm not going to go all Roy Keane on you again, but it is their job. 270 minutes is not long.
No, it's not. You're right. No, it's not. I just think
it is when you add in all the international things that have gone on with some of them, Luke. Do you know what I mean?
Fair, but what I'm saying is, while they're not injured, they should be at peak fitness all the time, and nobody will know better than Daniel Farke and our.
Yeah, but it's not even just starting games.
On them, to be honest,
it might be that you need to bring Gruev on for the last 20 minutes, half an hour to Ampadu's on a yellow card. You might want to go, right, we want to preserve him. We've got control of this game. Bring on Gruev, but he's not even trusting him in those situations.
No, it's
weird. He's not even bringing him off the bench, which is
if you don't give him those chances to bed into the team and the way the team plays, then you can't start him in a game because he'll be all at sea.
You won't know.
He needs phasing in, doesn't he? He needs.
I think we'll see him at Piroe away, won't we?
A bit of time. Yeah, but
where would you play him? Where would you even play Gruev?
In Ampadu's role.
In Ampadu's role. But for me, if you're going to take Ampadu or Kamara out, you have to be putting Archie Gray in there. Like, I think you're mugging him off at that point. If you're going to put Gruev in his position, you are slapping Archie Gray in the face, in my opinion.
No, but
I know he's been showing
needs a rest too, though.
I think for me, Archie is Kamara and Gruev is Ampadu. Do you know what I mean? If you were to switch it around, that's the way I would see it. But yeah.
The problem is that we do not have enough players that Farke trusts to have a proper rotation. We don't have the luxury of being able to do an Ipswich or whatever and bring 3 or 4 subs on during the game. We don't have that, and surely that has to be addressed in January if we're serious.
I think we do have that, though, in terms of attacking options. It's just our defensive options where we are massively lacking. Like in attacking options, you've seen that we've got an abundance of attackers on the bench that he brings on.
Of course.
But defensively, there's not
defense.
there's not really anybody to replace our defenders. And when they do it, we just look so much weaker.
Mate, to be honest, we could probably have John Stones on the bench and he's still waiting until the 90th minute to bring him on. So if he's not going to make any changes, what's the point of even having subs?
Yeah, that's true.
We've gone from Bielsa hooking people after 30 minutes to Farke who doesn't bring anybody on.
Let's because I'm aware we've not got much time left. I know people need to be places and all that sort of stuff. We do have. Look, I'm gonna ask this question, right? And try not to think of how long's left, right? Because if you would say, well, there's so long left, of course there's a chance, which there is, right? Because Ipswich, look, at the end of the day, just look at Preston. They won 7 games on the spin. They've now only won 3 games in 15 and have conceded the most in the league, right? So teams can drop off. I'm not for any moment saying that Leicester and Ipswich will do that. But, Jay, I'll come to you. Forgetting about time, based on the current predicament and the way Leeds United are playing, do you think we're resigned to the playoffs?
Oof, that's a tough question. I think resigned to the playoffs is a bit strong. I think looking towards a likely playoffs finish is how I would view it, but it's not over. I've said I don't think we're consistent enough to bridge that gap now, but if you're going to look at it objectively, we're not any worse off than we were before Saturday. And we can still take some points out of them. Leicester can still take some points out of them. Second's not gone, but I think it's going to be very, very difficult to get more than playoffs.
Yeah. Same question, Kate.
Okay, so I mentioned this message that I got from somebody earlier, and basically this is it. If you think about it, we're still unbeaten at home. If Leeds and Leicester both beat Ipswich and we beat Preston, then we'll be literally breathing down the neck of the top 2, and we'll be 10 points behind the 72 points and everything to play for. I think is it Chris? Sorry.
Do you mean me?
Yeah.
Jay.
Jay, sorry.
There's no Chris on this panel, love.
Sorry. Jay, I'm sorry. Jay and JT.
I'll let you off.
Right. No, so seriously, I think...
He looks like a Chris.
It's consistency. He does, yeah. It's consistent.
Call me worse.
We need to be a little bit more consistent, and I just want to see a little bit more proactivity from Daniel Farke. For me, he's been reactive. Bringing these subs on and chucking loads of attacking options on in the last 10 minutes is not the way that we should be playing. Kieran McKenna isn't doing that. Mike Dodds didn't do that on Sunderland. So yeah, I think, do you know what, if we can get that formula right, then we've got a chance. But it's a big ask.
It's really weird, isn't it? It's like I kind of like the never say die, not settling for a point attitude of it all. But if you made better changes sooner, you might not be all scrambling for the last 5 minutes.
Exactly. Totally agree.
Sure. Max, I'm going to switch up the question slightly. I'll Chris out when someone says. We have 3 games left in December. It's such a congested period. So between Saturday the 23rd and Friday the 29th, we play Ipswich at home, where we're still unbeaten, by the way. And then we've got 2 away trips to Preston and West Brom. How do you see that Christmas period going? Will we be wanting to throw it all? We'll get it right at some point. Will we want to throw it all in the bin, or will we be sat here rejoicing, saying, do you know what, 9 points in the bag, absolutely buzzing, we're going to catch the top 2?
Realistically, I think we pick up 5 points. But obviously that means taking points off Ipswich, drawing with them. I think we beat Preston away. I think we draw with West Brom away. But I think now...
That's minimum though, right, Max? Minimum.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I don't think we lose.
No.
But this month, I was kind of thinking this is going to be the time where if it's going to happen, the other teams are going to drop off, and they haven't. They have to drop off at some point. We have to believe that they will drop off at some point, because in the history of football, it's very, very rare that people keep up this form for an entire. Both of them would break the record, one after the other.
Yeah.
So it can't be the points total for the championship. Obviously, I mean, so at some point it has to drop off. But for me, I think minimum 5 points, potential of 7.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I do have to tend to agree with you. I think we might beat Ipswich. No. Yeah. 7. I think 7. I think we'll draw up West Brom. I think we beat Ipswich and we beat Preston.
How can you say we can beat? We're going to beat Ipswich when we couldn't even beat Coventry? I don't get it.
Their players.
We've already slapped them up.
Well, yeah, we've already beaten them. And what I would say, the way that Coventry came,
Yeah, exactly. So they're going to want to,
No, the way that Coventry came to play was to spoil and to nick a point. Ipswich won't do that. Kieran McKenna will want to come and take all 3. And okay, might not be as gung-ho as he was at their place, but I think the way that Ipswich play will actually suit Leeds United more so than a low block team. Hence why we've beaten Leicester. Hence why we've beaten Coventry. Hence why we've beaten teams at the top of the table. It's the ones that are scrapping and scrimping for points. Stoke, Coventry, Rotherham, these teams, Sheff Wednesday, that we've struggled against.
But
Let's
don't
not
you think
forget
moving forward,
Ipswich.
Joe, that we have to find a way to beat these teams?
Yeah, okay, but we're not playing them teams. You asked me about Ipswich,
No,
right?
I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, we do have to 100%. And I think in January, that's where we open that door with players and personnel. We need a 10 desperately, and I'd go back.
We've got a 10.
Do it.
We've got the best 10 in the league.
Let's not forget though. Yeah. Let's not forget Ipswich have conceded a fair few goals to poor sides like Rotherham. Like Norwich, who are pretty poor at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I'm saying, mate. Everyone's saying, when are they going to drop off? When are they going to drop off? Doesn't matter. If we ain't going to win these simple games that we should be winning, doesn't matter if they're going to drop off or not. Ipswich dropped points on the weekend. We could have capitalized on that. We could have got ourselves, 8 points behind them. That's very reachable. Then you're playing them. You beat them. You're 5 points behind them then. You're in it to win it. But you decide to slip up, give away stupid results. We've given away, 3 stupid games that we shouldn't have in the past month. And had we not thrown those away, we'd be right up there, man. They are falling off. They literally just dropped points. And you know what no one's also talking about? We're all fixated on the top 2 and us catching them. Yeah. Southampton are right up us. And they're on form right now.
Yeah,
so they could even be a dark horse to compete in there.
Yeah, and haven't they got QPR at the weekend? And we've got Leicester. I mean, Ipswich.
Don't worry about Southampton, man. They're behind us, man.
They're on the same points
as well. Yeah, no, but they're behind us, bro.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But we've got to focus on ourselves and stop giving away stupid points. You say 5 points minimum in these next few games. Me, this is 9 points minimum. This is no, because Max said 5.
Yeah, but I say that's a minimum.
So I mean minimum. I mean minimum for me is 9. I'm going to be real here. If we don't pick up, if we don't beat
maximum,
Ipswich, then maximum is the minimum. We have no other option. Leicester are probably not going to drop that many more points come the end of the season. Ipswich, we might have a chance of getting. If we don't beat Ipswich and Southampton win and go above us, then all of a sudden we start to panic. Then all of a sudden the fans start to get a bit antsy and everything. We have to win every single one of these games. I'm sorry, people call that deluded, I'm sure. But if we don't get 9 points out of 9,
Ipswich are better than Leicester, by the way, in my opinion. Ipswich are better than Leicester. I think Leicester are pretty.
Is that based off when we've played them? Or
no, I've watched a bit of both sides. I'm talking maybe stylistically. I think Leicester's effective, but if it ain't working for them, they're just ponderous, keep possession, pass. They're a bit like us.
But they grind out wins, Joe. That's what we are not able to bloody do.
No, but I disagree, and this is where I come. This is where I disagree. No, this is where I disagree, though, because if you take August out of the situation, right, and I know people hate that. Go back to this.
Doing that
but the gap's tiny, so we're actually quite similar. We're actually quite similar to Leicester. They've lost 3, we've lost 4.
Joe. We are where we are.
I know, but hear me out. Leicester lost 4. Leicester have lost 3 games. We've lost 4. It's 1 game difference. They are also 4, I
think what Joe's saying is it's unreasonable to expect us to be significantly better than we are. It's to be getting loads of better results than we are, because without that start, we wouldn't be looking at this and being like, oh,
No, he
we've lost
wasn't.
loads of ground. But unfortunately, as you say, Kate, we did have that start. We are where we
And
are.
to add to that,
But we will lose more games. That's the
and
championship.
to add to that, we've missed the most chances in the leagues. That's not down on Daniel Farke.
Well, I think
That's
Bamford
just
had
a
4 of
Leeds
them in one
United.
game.
It is him. If he put
Thanks,
Bamford on the
Michael.
pitch, we'd be scoring all those chances.
Yes, JT.
It is
We
what
know
it
where we
is.
are at the end of the day, and
Mm.
you know, I think that we need to remember that, you know, 10 or 11 points. Everyone's saying, "Oh, you know, we've got 72 points to play for," but at the end of the day, these guys are ahead of us. Leicester is up our asses on goal difference. They'll be above us if we don't
Like the
pull our
sun don't
fingers out.
shine. And the Southampton.
You know what I want to say as well, because I
Sorry,
am
Sam,
sick. Because
yeah, sorry, mate.
I'm triggered now, right? I am triggered. I'm getting triggered, and we need
Don't
to
use
finish
that
him.
word, Joe.
But what I'm saying is, Kit, not by anyone in here, just in general. What I do want to say is, right, I'm seeing people with full outrage about Leeds United's position that when they predicted the table at the start of the season didn't even have us in the top 6. So people that now want to flex it, get in the fucking bin. You know who you are. It pisses me off. You're full of shit. Anyway, we move.
Ooh.
Luke. No, it's true, man. It annoys me, man, because it's like their opinion is worth more than everybody else's. And
Yeah, but
maybe
no, this is
people,
what I was saying.
people think that probably about me. But my point is, don't be angry that we're in third when you didn't think we'd even get the top 6. Do you know what I mean? Why are you annoyed? Why are you annoyed for? Relax, you're buzzing. You must.
But can opinions not change throughout
Yes,
the
they can,
season
JT.
depending on things?
You know
Yeah,
me.
but
I'm
the
just.
point is,
I'm
JT,
just
that
fucking-
everyone's opinion is
Just playing devil's
exactly
advocate. I agree with
valid
you.
I'm
as
like, I'm triggered, man. I'm ready. I'm ready.
It's
Luke,
because you're seeing how good we can be, Joe. To see how good we can be, and then see us play terrible. It's hard to take.
Yeah. We had a different manager at the start of the season and a different team. Well, which manager did we have, Geordie?
Mr.
Sam
Nobody.
Allardyce.
No, we don't. I mean,
Big
we
Sam.
didn't, did we?
Big Sam, who thought he was coming in again for another season.
Yeah.
We had a different manager in that we had no manager
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah,
for a
Nobody.
little while of pre-season.
Do you want a hot take though?
Go on then.
We keep Sinistera. We don't get rid of him when he threatens to sue the club last day of transfer window. We're top 2 right now. I think it's simple as that, mate. Simple as that. Because that's the one piece of the jigsaw that we're missing, mate.
Do we get him back in January,
Rutter,
though, JT?
Sinister. I don't think we'll be able to.
No, he'll be injured for the
That
rest of
bitch
the
is
season
probably-
anyway. We get Brendan Aronson back and he lights it up.
Better bloody not.
Definitely.
I swear to God.
Yeah.
We actually
Right,
might be getting
Luke.
Aronson back.
Finishes up with a positive, mate. Will you? Just considering what everyone said, take a nugget and give us the final word.
Yeah. The final word is don't let it ruin your weekend. It is football, and we can only concentrate on Leeds United. Fuck what everyone else is doing. We continue to at this rate, then we would still be there and thereabouts. We can't outperform the outperformable, I suppose.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, this
I
is
like
true. This is true. Listen, great show as always. Great fun as always. I love it. Listen, tomorrow, folks, we will be doing a watch along of Birmingham versus Leicester. If you want to join me for that, I've got no hope that Wayne Rooney's Birmingham will get anything against Leicester, but
Unless he comes on
maybe.
himself.
You just know, yeah. Unless he comes on himself, maybe you just never know, do you? I'm going to speak to a Norwich fan as well and see if we can sort of chat out about whether or not this is something that Daniel Farke does. Probably is. But we move. Please make sure you check out each and every one of these content creators. They'll have all have done post-match reactions and previews for the upcoming game. So you've got JT at JT Live, Luke and Jay, not Chris at Ought to Know Better. You've got Max at Leeds Lately and the lovely Kate at Leeds Birds Rants. Thank you.
Why are the rest of us not lovely?
You're
I'd say
all
I'm very
lovely.
lovely.
Because we're all grizzly blokes, mate.
No, you're all lovely.
I love
JT
your
looks
hair,
like one of
JT.
my exes, actually.
Oh, thank you, mate. I appreciate
Yeah,
You're gonna make me blush, mate. My lighting's on.
He just wants to know if he can have it for a transplant.
Love it. Great show as always, and it's great to end on a laugh. So we will leave it there. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone.
Adios.
Enjoy the rest of your show. Bye bye now. Enjoy the rest of your show. See what I mean? Just get me out of here, man. What a weekend.
Guys on the